What I'm going to be talking about is giving workshops to businesses specifically. So educating businesses on how to use artificial intelligence, how their staff can use it safely, what they should be using it on, what they should not be using it on. It is a really big opportunity right now. The most I've been paid is $4,000 for 1 hour of work. I used to make that in a month. So making $4,000, which is £3,000, £3,500, something like that, in 1 hour. Pretty mind-blowing. So I've been showing other people how they can do this as well. And I want to show you how, even if you don't consider yourself an AI expert, what you have is valuable for companies right now. The fact that you're watching me, some dude talking about artificial intelligence on a live stream, or you're watching this on YouTube, tells me that you're well ahead of the people who need this help. So I'm going to be talking about this. I'll run through this quick presentation. Again, there is a full webinar that's happening tonight. If you go to aiwithkyle.com/webinar, you can sign up totally free. But I'm going to give you a bit of a preview now. Notebook LM put together these slides for me and they look great. So how can you make $1,000, $2,000 per hour teaching businesses about artificial intelligence? I have about 150 students, a lot doing this right now. I charge about $2,000 per hour on average. $4,000 per hour has been the most I've charged. That was a large group. I'll talk about how that's possible. In 2025, we saw big companies using artificial intelligence and making a mess of it. Deloitte is the example that I'm always banging on about because they made a mistake not once, but twice. They didn't learn from their mistake. In summer 2025, Deloitte did a report for the Australian government full of AI errors, hallucinations in it. It had made up footnotes, it had made up academics, it just made up papers. And somebody actually tried to track down one of these academics at the University of Sydney and realized they don't exist. Deloitte charged 440,000 Australian dollars for this report. Obviously, their staff members had just chucked it through artificial intelligence and then just given that report to the Australian government. They got found out and they had to refund some of the money. The problem wasn't they'd used AI. Everyone's using AI. That's where we're going and it's getting better and better. The problem was they had not checked the AI's response. They hadn't bothered to actually use their human experts to see if the output was worthwhile. That is not an AI problem. That is a training problem. That's a problem in Deloitte, not training their staff members how to use AI appropriately, and it made them look like idiots. They then did it again. Deloitte Canada sent a report full of AI-generated errors. Deloitte, not a small company, huge company, made the same problem twice because they did not train their staff members sufficiently on artificial intelligence. Not only did Deloitte look like absolute idiots, not only did they have to refund some money, but they bring into question all consultants, all advisory companies. This is a huge blow to the industry because they didn't train their staff members properly. This is happening all over, all industries, all sectors. There are problems where staff members are using artificial intelligence, but they have not been given the training to use it properly. That creates a big problem for companies, a problem that you personally can go and solve for them and get paid very well for it. Deloitte was the most visible, but we're going to see a huge number of these errors moving forward and companies looking like idiots, basically. There's a couple of reasons for this. Probably the biggest is that a lot of staff members are using AI, but they haven't been sanctioned. They haven't been given training. The company and the corporate structure is behind the staff in AI adoption. So there was an MIT study, it was back in March, April, MIT NANDA put out a study. And one of the biggest, I think, actionable points in there was that of the companies surveyed, 90% of respondent staff members said they were using AI. Only 40% of the companies had provided them with an AI and with AI training. That means that an additional 50% more than were officially sanctioned, were using artificial intelligence. And they'll be using their own AI. They'll be bringing their own ChatGPT to work because they know it's useful, they know it's helpful. So they're going to go around whatever rules the business has put in place. There's a huge gap, and we call this shadow IT. It's when staff members use their own IT at work without it being sanctioned by the leadership. Generally, this doesn't happen because most of the time, when a new IT deployment is rolled out, a new CRM, a new email system, a new training system, or whatever it is, most of the time staff members find that annoying. It's a new password, a new login, a new website, a new obligation. AI is different though. the staff members have realized, oh, this is really useful. This can help me do my job faster and better than I could before. I'm going to just use it, whether or not IT has sanctioned it or not. Creates a huge problem. People in IT departments are in an absolute frenzy trying to work out what to do. I'm also giving a webinar later, an official webinar. Right now I'm just doing a live, but I'm giving a webinar later. If you go to aiwithkyle.com/webinar, there's a sign up. I'm doing one on Tuesday, January the 6th, and one on Thursday, January the 8th at 6 p.m. UK time. There will also be a recording, so even if you can't make it, sign up and then you'll be sent the recording after. I think probably we'll send out the recording so you can grab a copy of that too. That's just a more formal version of what I'm doing now. I'm using a notebook slide deck because there's no AI news at the moment. Yes, it's 2 a.m. Go to bed. Tamas says, lucky you, I just came back from 2 weeks in Portugal and it was chilly and rainy. Portugal is too close to the Atlantic. The reference point here is I'm currently in Cyprus, so it is very nice outside. And I'm looking to maybe relocate here. As much as I love the UK, it is very cold, dark, and a bit miserable. So what's happening right now is not bottleneck in the technology. It's not that the technology is not good enough. For the last couple of years, that's been the argument against AI. People saying it's trash, it's AI slop, it can't code. The images it creates are ridiculous. They have 6 fingers and the videos are rubbish, etc. That's been a very valid argument for the last 3 years, 2 years, with people saying, oh, don't need to worry about AI because it's crap. That's changing, and I think a lot of people have started to realize this. In programming, I gave a live about this yesterday, Claude Code using Opus 4.5 has been a tipping point for programmers and for coders when they've suddenly realized that, oh, this is really good. This is going to remove coding as a profession. We're still going to be doing other things, architecture, planning projects, all of the higher, more abstract stuff, but coding itself, the AI is very good. And different industries are realizing this, like the defense of AI is just a bit crap is no longer sufficient because AI is getting extremely good. There's now something called the capability overhang. Ethan Mollick talks about this. OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, put out a tweet at Christmas saying, AI is accelerating, getting faster and better. We, humans, are not using it better than a couple of years ago. Most people are still using ChatGPT as a replacement for Google. That's a fine first step, but AI can do much more. With ChatGPT, you can have it help you ask better questions. The capability overhang is us using ChatGPT, using Claude, using Gemini in the same way that we did 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We haven't increased the quality of our questions. We haven't increased the work that we can do with AI, but the AI has shot off ahead. So there is a capability overhang today, gaps between model capabilities and how people actually use them. So progress will depend as much on helping people use AI as on advances in frontier models. It's us who are lagging behind right now. So we need to upgrade how we use it personally, but also go and help other people in business, other people in our communities, other people in our demographics, etc., to catch up with this and to use it better. There's a huge gap right now. I'm not a computer scientist, I'm not a coder, I don't know how to build models, I don't even know how a large language model works, what's a neural network. You don't need to know as much as you think you do. Imposter syndrome is a huge thing, and I understand wanting to know everything about a subject before helping other people. There are different levels of how much you need to know about artificial intelligence. In the same way we can use the internet on a daily basis without necessarily knowing the ins and outs of how that works, it's the same with artificial intelligence. If I asked you now, what does HTTPS stand for? What is a URL? What does that actually mean? Most people will be like, I have no idea. It's the same with artificial intelligence. We don't need to know all the inner workings in order to be able to help people use artificial intelligence better. Again, with a car, I don't know how a combustion engine works, but I can drive it. There are different levels of abstraction. As long as you can meet people where they need help, you can assist them. In fact, having too much in-depth knowledge gets in the way when you are educating people. There's a story of a charity I worked with. I talked to the board of directors, the trustees of this charity. They'd had some AI training from KPMG. KPMG had given them some money, given them a training package, and sent along an AI expert. The guy was an old white dude, surprise, He came in, he had 2 PhDs, he had written a textbook on machine learning, and he came in and he started talking to them about backpropagation, gradient descent, neural nets, how LLMs actually work, the how of AI. Fascinating stuff, really interesting stuff, and I definitely recommend learning about that because it's interesting, but it's not useful. It is not useful for using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini on a daily basis. You don't need to know all that stuff in order to get good results. So this guy came in, wowed them with his knowledge, probably felt great about himself and left, leaving them feeling that AI was technical, it was complicated, it required them to know mathematics. I went in a few weeks later and said, look, can you use WhatsApp? And they're like, yeah, of course, I use WhatsApp every day. And I said, okay, that's a chat interface. So is ChatGPT. We're going to use ChatGPT. I helped them realize very quickly using AI nowadays is very easy. It is not technical. You could see the lights in their eyes lighting up like, oh God, I can use this. I can use AI. This is about communication, chatting. They started to go into higher levels of understanding, but first had to get through that barrier. A lot of the trainers out there, a lot of the educators out there don't help the people who need this most, the people who are scared of technology, who have mental barriers. You don't throw knowledge at those people. You help them emotionally with the basics. You help them get started and then they can learn more later. Very different way of educating. We don't have enough people focusing on the emotional and the basics. Thomas says, I should have chosen Cyprus. Your USP, your unique selling point right now in 2026 is not going to be your technical knowledge. It's not going to be how good you are with artificial intelligence. It's going to be combining AI and your skill and your ability with AI with your domain expertise, your industry experience, your personal life experience. It's going to be combining those things and then becoming the person in the middle, in that intersection, who's going to help with the translation between. So this could be somebody, this could be focusing on an industry. Let's say you are a teacher. You could become the person who helps teach teachers how to use AI. That's a wide open space. You can create content on TikTok, YouTube, courses, guides, workshops, etc. That is a space open for you now. Or it could be a demographic. You could be talking to your people, whatever your group of people are. If they are not getting help in artificial intelligence, if you see them falling behind, you can help them. That could be parents, for example. We have a trainer who focuses on parents and children and helping them to use artificial intelligently and safely. That again is a niche. So there are lots of different ways you can split this, but what happens is you don't want to be a general AI expert. That's too wide. AI is too big. But instead, you combine your industry, your demographic, your lived experience with your AI skill, and you carve out a niche there. That's where you're going to make money, is not by being a general speaker. And the way to actually make money from this, and I've tested many ways, the way to make money is through workshops. You can build up a social media following. Tamas on this live got sponsored by Canva, which is cool. But as Tamas will tell you, it's hard. It's taken me years to get to this point. Years of producing videos, putting out videos, not having any growth, not having any results, and then slowly building over time. Yeah, maybe you'll be an overnight success, but it is very difficult. So that's one way of making money. It's quite hard. Another way is consulting. Consulting pays well. You can do advice, consulting, implementation for companies, but it requires you to have a track record. They are going to ask, what have you done before? Breaking into that, if you haven't done that before, is tricky. Absolutely, you should do it. It's just not the easiest thing to start with. What I think works really well is workshops. So workshops are great because they're based on content, they're based on education, which is the strongest part of social media, education and building authority. That's what you can do with social media. But unlike social media, you get paid for it immediately. When you go and give a workshop, you will get paid immediately for your time. So you're not waiting 6 months, you're not waiting 12 months, but instead you go and you educate, you provide content and you get paid. Great. At the same time, because you are providing content and education, you are opening the door for the other work. You're opening the door for consultation, for advisory, for implementation work. So workshops sit in this nice kind of middle ground between social media, building up your name, becoming an authority, and going straight into consulting and advisory. You can take the best of both worlds and put it into a workshop and then go and get paid for giving that workshop. So the workshop, Yes, it's an asset, it's something you get paid for, but it's also the first step in a wider business of consulting, of advisory, and then on the front end, you plug on social media and turn this into a full business. But first, you need to nail the core of your workshop. And workshops, it sounds complicated, but a 1-hour workshop is fairly simple. I'm going to be talking about this more in the webinar I give later today. I'm going to be giving a webinar at 6 p.m. UK time, totally free. If you go to aiwithkyle.com/webinar, there's a registration, and I'm going to talk through what you put inside your workshop. But this is roughly what a 1-hour workshop looks like. An introduction is going to be about 10 minutes. You're talking about them. You do not talk about yourself. I have a few slides in where I'm finally like, oh, who am I? And I quickly give them some blurb, but it's not about you, it's about them. So you want to ideally find out as much as possible about the people you're talking to and include lots of hooks, lots of references to them, who they are inside of your introduction, because you need them to know. Next up, mindset. So when you are teaching very basic groups, there's no point you rushing in and talking about how to use AI. Get them over psychological blocks first. The biggest lever I pull is showing them using AI is not a technical skill, it is a communication skill. So if they have managed, if they have led, if they have a team, written an email or any report, they've used communication at work. Using ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is, primarily about clear communication. If you are able to communicate what it is you want in your head into written language, you will do very well with AI. So we need to knock down the barrier that AI is highly technical. And there's a lot of people out there trying to obfuscate it, trying to make it seem more complex than it is. It's not really. We just need to show them, hey, if you can use WhatsApp, you can use ChatGPT. And we need to lower their barriers. After that, the most important part of a workshop is an exercise. You need to walk them through using what you've taught them. So for me, generally the exercise is 20 to 30 minutes of the 60-minute workshop. The reason for this is using AI as a skill. I could talk about prompting, best practices, settings, and adding custom instructions, but as soon as they leave the room, they haven't actually learned anything. We need to get people using AI inside of the workshop so that it sticks. This is also, if you're not comfortable with public speaking, if you find the idea of being on stage or on screen terrifying, a godsend. So for when I give a 1-hour workshop, I'm talking for maybe half, sometimes less. You aren't the center of attention for the whole workshop. It's about them. The majority should be an exercise. And if you nail the exercise, I'll talk about this more in the webinar later tonight, but if you nail the exercise, the rest of it's pretty easy. After the exercise, I will talk about the stuff that the employer, the person who's paying me, wants me to talk about, which is safety. How to use AI safely. I'm going into a workplace, I'm talking to their staff members. They don't care that much about the safety stuff. That stuff's kind of dull, but the person who's paying my invoice, they do. So I need to cover it. So I'll talk about safety, I'll talk about whatever the company's policies are. I'll get it from the company and present it. Talk about how AI can go wrong, its limitations, what AI can do, what it can't do, and how to tell the difference. Super important, but boring stuff. So I leave that for after the exercise. The exercise is high energy. And after that, we say, okay, sure, let's bring it down and we talk about safety. And then finally, wrapping up is 10 minutes. 60 minutes is not a long time for a workshop, not a long time at all, especially if your exercise is 20 to 30 minutes. You can get paid $1,000 per hour for giving this workshop. And the great thing about it as well is once you have created your workshop, once, you can go and give it to multiple companies and you can get paid $1,000, $2,000 for giving this workshop, this 1-hour workshop again and again and again. It's an asset, which is really powerful. I know though that me just saying, oh, just go and give workshops, it'd be great, you make loads of money. There'll be half of you out there will be thinking, oh yeah, I can do that, that's no problem. I don't mind standing on stage. I don't mind holding attention, talking to a room. That's no problem for me. The other half, though, will be terrified. And I feel you. I am naturally introverted. Getting up on stage, doing lives like this did not come naturally for me. However, it is a skill you can learn. It's about repetitions and putting in the reps. I'll talk about this more in the webinar tonight. There's a confidence ladder you can build up where you're basically going from free, familiar faces online And yeah, they're the main ones. You start with free, familiar faces and work your way up the ladder. Maybe start charging, doing it on stage or in front of a room, do it to companies you don't know, and move up step by step by step. And that allows you to build up that confidence. You will also, as you get a bigger reputation, you'll start to do bigger rooms. The largest room I've given a workshop to was about 400, 500 people. If I had tried that at the beginning of my journey, I think I would have physically been sick. No joke, it would have had such a physiological effect on me that I would not have been able to get on that stage. I worked my way up to that. That, by the way, is how you command larger fees. If you are talking to 400 people and you're charging $4,000, that's a lot of money. $4,000 for 1 hour is a lot. However, if you're talking to 400 people, that's $10 per person. That's cheap. So that's how you reach the kind of highly paid workshops. Generally though, you'll be charging $500, $1,000, $1,500 per hour initially. If you're talking to 50 people, $1,000 for 1 hour of your time, that's $20 per person. That's not much for a training budget. Oh, thank you for sharing. Can you do your workshops online or are they all in-house? Really good question. Both, basically. A lot of people who only do online, and that is absolutely fine. Generally, you get paid less if you do them online, but then you're not traveling, you're not having to kind of set up. So you can literally sit at your computer, do the workshop and you're done. You can do multiple workshops in a day. I much prefer doing in-person, which I used to enjoy that. I take in-person ones in foreign countries that I want to travel to. It sounds terrible, but I've combined it with that. That's because I have another business and workshops are one part. I have to be selective. But I know a lot of people do them online. You'll charge less, but the setup's a lot easier. The only difference with online is exercises. You need to break people into groups and rooms. You need to be a lot more thoughtful about how you're going to do that exercise. With things like Zoom, you can break people into what they call breakout rooms, and so they can do the exercise together, which is doable. It's just a bit more fiddly. And it's going to depend entirely on how large the audience is. So if you have a couple of hundred people online, suddenly you're going to need an assistant who's dealing with the breakout rooms. You're going to need to be more careful about who's attending the event. If it's a public, do you want to put strangers together in a room? Certain things you need to think about. This is all in the AI workshop kit I've prepared. In person, you can control the space, have more flexibility in how you run. And it's a lot easier just to say, okay, you 5 over there, you 5 over there, you 5 over there. Whereas online, it's a lot more technical. That's the main difference though. So I personally prefer in person, but they're both very possible. Cool. So I'm actually going to be giving not a workshop. I'm giving a webinar about workshops later today. So if you go to aiwithkyle.com/webinar, you can sign up. It's going to be at 6 p.m. UK time. I'm doing another one on Thursday, 6 p.m. as well. Totally free. I think we've got a couple of hundred people coming tonight, so it should be fine. And it's going to be live. You can ask me questions and I will be running through various bits and pieces. Also, I have a whole course which you can grab if you go to aiwithkyle/workshop. Is that right? Yeah, aiwithkyle/workshop. That will bring you into this masterclass, which has a video walking you through some stuff. It has sign up links for the webinars and a mini course for you to work through, including a couple of interactive tools that I've built, which can help you do things like structuring a basic webinar as well. So that is aiwithkyle.com/workshop. That's totally free, but try to come to the webinar as well. It should be fun later tonight. Now I'm gonna hop back to the questions because I totally ignored them. When I'm in a flow, it's tricky to go back and forward, but I will now do that. Let me just hop onto there. Could I use Lovable to set up my e-com? You can, I wouldn't though. If you are setting up e-commerce, just use Shopify. Lovable primarily builds web apps that live on a website. Very good at that. However, Lovable pages by default will not show up on Google. They will not be indexed by Google. Web apps don't render. They do not show to Google when Google comes knocking on your website. They will just show a white screen and Google's crawlers, its bots will come to that website and they'll be like, nothing, I can ignore it. That is really bad news if you're running an SEO focused e-commerce site. If you're trying to get people via Google to your website to buy stuff, and Google cannot see what's on your website because it's just a blank page, then it's not going to work. Lovable is not really the right tool for this. There are ways to convert a Lovable page into something that Google can see. You can convert it from client-side rendering, CSR, to SSR, server-side rendering. However, that's like a patch job. That's a workaround which could be avoided if you built using something that Google can see. So 100% you can do it. It's just a faff. I wouldn't recommend Lovable for anything where you need search engine optimization, where you need to be visible to Google. It's perfectly fine for web apps, and if you're driving traffic from social media, adverts, etc., no problem. If you are relying on Google to send you traffic, it's not the way. So I'd use, honestly, for e-com, instead of building an e-commerce platform from scratch, I would just use Shopify. Shopify is still very good and it would do the job. Building e-commerce using Lovable is a lot of work and high risk as well, because if somebody enters credit card details and it doesn't work, that's bad. So I would use Shopify. You could also use Squarespace, Wix. So Wix now own Base44, which is a vibe coding tool. But with these businesses, I get the appeal. I want to vibe code everything myself now because you can, and it's really exciting. But sometimes you need to step back and think, should I bother doing this? Or should I just pay Spotify $10 or $20 a month and have a stable foundation for my business instead of trying to build it myself? It's something I need to control myself on a lot, because I find myself being like, I could just build this whole analytics package, or I could just build this. Yes, we can, but should we? Not always is the answer. So what's the cheapest way to create a website for a small business with AI? If you're just doing a website, you probably don't need AI. That said, cheapest way would probably be right now to use anti-gravity. So anti-gravity is from Google, currently free. Pricing is free on the individual plan. You can download this and use, I think it gives you Gemini 3, Claude Sonnet and Opus, and GPT OSS, that's the open source ChatGPT. It gives you access to these. So this is a vibe coding tool. It's currently free. You will need to host your website. So whenever you have a website, the files themselves, that's one thing. All your HTML, your CSS, JavaScript, whatever, you have a bunch of files. Those files need to live on a server. You will still need to pay for a server somewhere, but you can get that for $10, $20 a year. It shouldn't cost that much money, but you will need to do that. Right now, probably anti-gravity because it is free. It will not always be free, so I would jump on it now. Your advice to someone still late in using AI, not a programmer? Don't worry, most people are still late. Most people are still using ChatGPT as a Google replacement, which it's a good start, but there are many more things you can do with it. If you're feeling behind, go to AI with Kyle. I have a challenge. It's a 5-day challenge, basically helping people get AI ready. My goal is to help 1 million people get AI ready by 2023. And we're already at 250,000, so we're doing okay. Basically walking you through how to think about AI. So yeah, I don't just want to give people a bunch of prompts or anything like that. I don't think that's very useful, but instead helping people to remap their mental model of how we access information, what we can do with AI, what we shouldn't do. This free challenge is available on AI with Kyle, and that's a good starting place. And if you do that, honestly, you'll be ahead of about 90% of people. A lot of people are using AI as a Google replacement, and it is so much more than that. Pre-record. Oh, Lani, you can pre-record workshops. So I don't personally recommend it. The reason is you're not gonna be able to charge as much. So you could pre-record a workshop and sell someone a video recording. The purpose of a workshop though is that it should be interactive. It's about actually having people work through the skills in their own time, being in the room with them or being online with them and being able to help them work through blocks, being able to see people who are struggling, being able to go and help them work through whatever it is that's keeping them back. The workshop is about applied learning. People could find videos on YouTube to use e-learning. The purpose of a workshop is to force people to learn, because all of this information is out there. Information is not the problem. There is too much information. The complication is in getting people to act on that information and for it to become an inherent skill. That's what workshops are good at. You're saying to a company, sit your staff down for 1 hour. I'm going to come in. I'm going to talk to all 50 of them, 100 of them. And at the end of that hour, they will have gained these skills. A learning and development department and HR department need those kind of metrics, those kind of rubrics. Otherwise, that's their job. They need to show progress in stuff. If they gave people a recording, there's no guarantee that people are going to watch that recording. There's no guarantee that people are going to learn any skills from those recordings. You can sell e-learning, or embedding, but I would generally recommend doing it off the back of the workshop. So you use the workshop as an introduction, you charge $1,000. Then off the back of that, you can sell training programs and you can sell pre-recorded material and you can charge 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, whatever it is. But that's a second sale after the first workshop. I don't recommend selling pre-recorded initially because you can't charge as much and it's not as effective as a learning tool. So this is the AI workshop kit. We're kicking off next Monday, January 12th. I license out my materials. So all of my workshops, there's about 5 different workshops there that you can use, as well as the systems for marketing, getting clients, community, lives, a 30-day launch plan, and other support materials to help you build a business. So that is launching next week. Lani is saying, when's the next one? There is no plan yet. Last year we did 4. The next one will probably be in March or April, but this is the big one, January 12th. So yeah, the next one is not scheduled in. Danny says, I'm going to check it out today and I'll try for this evening. If you cannot make the webinar this evening, we will send out the recording. Even if you're registered, you'll get sent the recording and then you can watch it in your own time. So definitely register and you'll have the recording. Spotify has AI set up now, awesome. Kyle's course looks great, was inside last night, amazing value. I coded a dental app in Replit and was scared to deploy in case there were tech issues. You need testing. I'd recommend finding a beta testing group. If you go to aiwithkyle.com/courses, part 5 talks about finding beta testers, finding your first 10 testers and using these people to test for you. They also become your first customers. So this goes through all of the different ways you can get testers and then how you convert those testers into sales later. That is AI with Kyle courses, 10-week summer camp, part 5. Talks about finding testers. You can also use AI to test, but you need people use your app in ways you would never have thought. There's also something called PostHog I highly recommend. PostHog is actually free and you can talk to Replit and say, hey, I want to integrate PostHog. Oh, this isn't it. So posthog.com, basically a snippet of code will go inside of your application and you can track how people are using your app. You can actually have it simulate like where they're going, what they're clicking on, etc. So you can watch people and see how they behave. So definitely check out PostHog. You can also set up optimizations and tests like your onboarding flow, very cool. I would talk to Claude and say, hey, this is my app. I'm worried about people breaking it, so I need to set up testing. What would you recommend? How can we do this automatically? Also ask Claude, I want to add PostHog so I can monitor how people use it and get a better idea of what's going wrong. How do I do that? It will give you the full setup guide. It's a bit fiddly, but it's well worth it. So PostHog, PostHog. Oh, you just got a developer. If you have a developer, just pay someone. Awesome advice, thank you. No problem. Oh, you're in Sydney, ex-Londoner. Sydney's lovely. London is -2 degrees, snow and ice warning. I am not there, as you can see from that camera. But yeah, Sydney is also very nice. Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. That's all of the questions. Lani said, not sure if I can make Jan 12th. The only live components are the lives, 4 or 5 live sessions where I hop on and will be answering questions. The rest of it you can do in your own time. So the course material, all of the materials, workshop materials, etc., the walkthroughs of the workshop, that's all available for you to consume at your own leisure. If you cannot make the lives, it's also tricky because you're in Australia, like there's a time zone thing. If you can't make the lives, what we do is if you have a pressing question, you ask the question before the live, and at the beginning, I'll go through the questions and we'll tag you so you can find the answer. It's not asynchronous as being live, but it's a way to get answers for burning questions. And when we do the next cohort, which again will be probably April, and then we'll do one in summer, and then we'll do one in October, everybody from all of the previous cohorts are invited to the lives. So we have people from cohort 1, cohort 2, etc. coming to the cohort 5 and 6 lives, because that means it's not just me. 1, it means you don't just get the 4 lives, you can come to any live. moving forward from that point. And you can ask questions, doesn't matter what your question is. But two, it means it's not just me blabbing on about workshops. We can actually talk to other people, the other students, 120 I think we have, people who are giving workshops, and they will often have more relevant knowledge for the particular question. I mentioned earlier, we have somebody who works in parenting and gives workshops to kids and parents. Whenever I have a question about AI for parents or AI safety in children, it's useful to say, hey, Vinita, this is something that you know a lot more about. Are you able to field this question? So it becomes this kind of brain trust of people working in different sectors all over the world, talking to different types of people and being able to pull all of that information in one place. So if you can't make the lives on January the 12th, it's not the end of the world because there's so much more asynchronous material. You can get the live recordings. You can ask questions before the live and I'll answer them. You can also come to any live at any point thereafter. So don't worry too much about the dates. Oh, or April. April works. Perfect. We chatted about Notebook LM the other day on the live. I created a prompt helper notebook and linked your website. Awesome. I feel that I need to talk about Notebook LM every single week. Before I did this workshop, I was like, I'll just throw together a presentation. And this presentation was created by Notebook LM. So what I did, I came in here and I gave it information from one of my, here we go, this masterclass. I basically got this information from lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, etc. Dropped it into Notebook LM and it produced, you should be able to see it on screen. Yeah, there we go. It produced this presentation for me. Really cool. I also had it produce a few other bits and pieces. It made an infographic, which wasn't loading properly, but was cool. It's an amazing learning tool for anything you want to learn, basically. So it could do audio, video, mind maps, reports, flashcards, quizzes, etc. It also made me a video. Let's see if that one works. There we go. So this is an explainer video.
Feel like you're sitting on a gold mine of AI knowledge, but complex tech.
Notebook LM is also free. It's just one of these products Google has put out and not told anyone about it. But everyone that I've mentioned Notebook LM to and they've gone and tried it has come back to me and be like, this is amazing. It's really cool. Make sure you try it out and go and tell other people about it as well because it's super, super cool. Oh, you can't see the screen on TikTok. What happened? Oh, it's changed. That's unhelpful. Oh, sorry. Looks like TikTok has switched to another screen or it's frozen. I don't even know what screen that is. There we go. Didn't see the beautiful notebook. Lania says, I haven't tried Notebook. I use Gamma's great and Tome. Is Tome still around? Sorry, David. I have so many screens up at the moment. The recording is available on YouTube if you want to see the presentation from earlier. Thanks, Tamas. Gamma's great, but Gamma's paid. Notebook is free. The main problem with Notebook is you can't edit this. Once it's created, I can't click on this and edit it. However, Manus have created the ability to edit the Notebook LM images. You can use Nano Banana and Notebook LM style slides inside of Manus and edit it fully. You can select text, move things around, which is extremely cool. I imagine Notebook LM will add that functionality because what it's actually doing is it's generating this slide. This slide is an image created by Nano Banana Pro, which is really cool. That's an hour. I'm going to stop blathering and I'm going to go and get some sun. Once again, I'm giving a live webinar tonight, 6 p.m. The URL to get there is aiwithkyle.com/webinar. It's totally free and I'll be talking about workshops. I'll be going into a bit more detail than I did now. Talking about the opportunity, how you build a business, public speaking, if that's something that scares the hell out of you. I'll talk about how you can get into that. So that's going to be 6 p.m. tonight. And there's also going to be one at 6 p.m. on Thursday. If you cannot make them, still register and then you'll get the recording sent to you the day after. Hopefully I'll see a few of you if you can bear to listen to me talk about AI workshops. This is what I do. Thank you and have a lovely day. Good luck in London. I'm not in London, so it's -2 degrees. Thanks and see you soon.